Wonderful.
I stumbled upon this on Facebook. Wanted to come and see what it was about. My son's been in New York City last weekend. Was telling me all about how it went there, and I wanted to be part of it. It was excellent. It wasn't what I expected. I was expecting to be walking around with a sign in my hand, but this has been very interesting. We went through a nice little process of voicing our concerns and projecting what it could be like if it were different. And
I am here to occupy a public space, and the goal here is to reappropriate the commons, you know, and open it up for positive visions of what's possible within the public sphere. I mean, I'm not so much here because I have a specific political agenda, but I started a project called the First Alchemical Bake of Public Square, and we specialize in trust services, personal investment, gift certificates, deposits, transfers, and exchanges. And the goal of the bank is to invite people to deposit their negative visions of what's happening in the present moment and then transform that energy into positive social construction, you know? So we're trying to instigate like people's wildest fantasies of what's possible within this moment of opportunity within this public space, you know, which is very much influenced by what's happening down in Wall Street, where people have occupied, you know, this, well, it's a private park, but they've reappropriated it as a public space and started their own institutions within that space that reflect their values and what they want to see happen in the world. So even though there's not a lot of people here, the goal is to try to get the people that are here past their anger as much as possible so they can start visualizing what they want to have happen, what they can do right now in this very moment. I think in broad terms, the final outcome of this Occupy Wall Street, Occupy public, this Occupy movement is a reappropriation of power, you know, back to the public sphere, you know, back to people, back to the individual, you know, where people start feeling less jaded and less cynical, and that their voices are going to be heard, you know, and hopefully they'll take their own initiative to start creating alternate systems of exchange, you know, and commerce, you know, that reflect their values rather than waiting for the government to do it, waiting for corporations to own up, you know. They'll just take that power back immediately and start actualizing, you know, their desires of what they want their society to be like, you know, a re-empowerment, if you will.
I'm glad the complacency around here is starting to fade off away from the citizens about how we just like to just sit around and see on the news about all this stuff going on around us and not decide to do anything about it because it's not directly affecting our lives. And guess what? It is. Everything that goes on in our government, everything that goes on in Wall Street, it affects our daily life. It's why gas is over $3 a gallon. It's why our minimum wage is going down while our gas prices and costs of living is going up. It's why college students like my girlfriend and I are struggling to pay rent because we want a good education where you can go to a country like the UK and get it for free. It does affect us, and I'm glad that people in this country are finally standing up for what they believe in and going for the kinds of change that we've been needing for decades in this country.
I mean, I just think that it's about time. I think that there are a lot of people who still don't understand what's really going on, and I think that there's been a lot of bad-mouthing in the movement from people who think that, you know, people who are down on Wall Street, for example, are, you know, they're communists or they're anti-capitalism, when really that has nothing to do with it. And you know, the majority of the people are pro-capitalism, and what they're against is people taking advantage of them, and the fact that, you know, things aren't working. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people being like, well, capitalism works, and, you know, when it's allowed to work. Well, you know, any system works when it's allowed to work, and the fact is, yeah, capitalism works when it's allowed to work, but it's not being allowed to work by the people who are supposed to be in control of it. It's not, you know, it's not the people down on Wall Street who aren't allowing it to work. They're the people who are, like, you know, putting in the effort to make things happen and to you know, get their say back, because they're people who feel like they've been voiceless, and a lot of them, you know, I hear people say, you know, you should, you know, go about it the right way, go to law school, get involved in the government, and a lot of these people don't have that option. A lot of these people are laid off, a lot of these people never had educations, and some of them are unemployed, and honestly they have nothing else that they can do to make their voices heard other than stand on the street and shout at the top of their lungs, or just occupy a space and be like, all right, you want to know why I'm here? I'll tell you why I'm here. And if that's their only option, then at least they're doing something about it. And they're not just, you know, well, I guess they are just sitting still. but I mean, sitting still with a purpose.